Good evening. Today I have Anne with me. Hi, Anne. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Anne Bloxwich. I'm a short tattooed mum of four, currently living in Dumfries, where I decamped because the writing community is so great. And I have my first book come out in July. It's called What Goes Around, and it's a police procedural featuring DI Alex Peachy, and it's the first in what I hope will be a very long series.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a writer?
No, not really. I mean, I hated writing when I was at school because I'm a bit of a daydreamer and I'm really slow. I've always been miles behind everyone else. I think I'm an avid reader. I've been reading. My grand taught me to read when I was 4, so I was reading before I got to school, and I just love books. And had a bit of a rough childhood, so I always used books as an escape. Um, so and then I can't remember what happened. I was talking to someone once, and I said, "Oh, I should write a book about you guys." And he said, "If you ever did that, he said you'd make a lot of money." But he was thinking I was going to write factual sort of behind the scenes kind of stuff. But and then I thought I could actually do a work of fiction with certain people, and so just started scribbling odd bits and pieces down, and it's good catharsis because I've got a disabled son who can be challenging. And so writing for me, if ever he was giving me a particularly bad day, I could just write something horrible about him on the computer and beat him up and then just delete it without actually having to do it in real life. And it did help. It's a good thing to kill someone on paper because you're not allowed to do it in real life. But yeah, but I used to be a promotions in promotions, and me and my friend used to manage a band of male strippers, which is where the book starts. It's a murder at a ladies' night, and this was the guy I was talking about. He said, you should write a fly on the wall book about us all, and I thought that would make interesting reading. But so it's not. It basically shows you what you see on stage is not necessarily what's going on behind the scenes. There's a lot more to it than that. And it's not as glamorous as it sounds either. It's really not. Bit of an eye opener to start with when you're surrounded by naked men, but after a while you don't even notice them. They're just there. And there's a particular story I was telling Jackie Collins last week. I had to separate 2 6-foot+ naked men because they're arguing over baby oil. Someone had he's taken my bet, you've taken my bet, and they're going to come to blows. And I mean, I'm 4'10", and I got to the point where I got my mum head on, and I thought, I've had enough of this. So I got in between them, pushed them apart, and I went, if you don't sort yourselves out, I'm going to bang your bloody heads together. And they were so shocked, and they looked, and they just mumbled and went off. And I thought, it is like dealing with 6-foot toddlers. And that's how I tended to look at them, that it was like, have you got this? No, I've forgotten my pants. What should I do? I don't know. And it was like baptizing cats a lot of the time. It was terrible. It was great fun, but like I said, it wasn't glamorous. You'd have to say, right, you need to be on stage at this time, get your gear ready. Have you got? And then it'd be, oh, can you nip and get me a drink? So I'd go out and get a drink, and then they'll want drinks. So I'd go and get a tray of drinks, and then it'd be like, oh, they'd leave all this stuff on the floor, which was dangerous for the drag queen who's tottering around in 7-inch heels. So I'd have to tidy up all their stuff. So like I said, it's not glamorous at all. Oh, then I have to take the gear home and wash it and have it ready for the next night. So not fun at all. But yeah, there were a lot of great moments, and I made some fabulous friends. They were hard work sometimes. But I thought, like I said, it made a great basis really for a story. So I thought, Murder at a Ladies' Night is a good way to start. Because I'm familiar with let's say write what you know.
So how are you going to top that? Do you have a favourite? Do you have a favourite character?
Oh, crikey, I've got a couple. There's Dr. Matthew Farrow, who's my coroner, affectionately known to everyone as Faz. He's actually based on my old sports physio. And we discussed plots while he was cracking my neck and trying to straighten out my shoulder. And he'd be going, oh, you could do this with him and you could do that with him. And he's absolutely delighted to be featured in the book. He thinks it's great. And people really seem to like him because he can be a bit weird, but he's got a heart of gold. You know, I'm looking forward to developing him a lot further, because there's a lot I can do with him, and I always run it past Matt anyway. They're like, I'm going to do this with him. You know, oh, it'd be better if you did that. And I think that's a lot weirder than I was thinking. But if you're happy with that, that's fine. And I love Alex. I think Alex is great. Alex is the kind of policeman I'd want on my side if I was in trouble. Yeah, he will go the extra mile. But yeah, there's lots of hope. Most people who've read it come back and say they love the drag queen. I said the drag queen's just fantastic. I said, well, she's made up of lots of bits of drag queens I've met. You know, I just created her, molded her out of other people. So she's got the lines of one character or the looks of another. But yeah, so she'll be back. She's back in the second book, very briefly, but she's there. But she sparks a chain of events in the second book, which will probably go on. Quite a nice chain of events, a funny chain of events, but we'll see.
If you were to be a murderer in a book, how would you kill your victims?
Sorry, say that again. You're breaking up a bit.
If you were to be a killer in the books, how would you kill your victims?
If I was to be a killer, oh, I'd probably poison someone. It'd be fun to watch them suffer. I spent too much time with May Ronaldo. She's a mushroom entrepreneur. There's not much she doesn't know about poisoning people with mushrooms. But yeah, I think I'd like to see them, depending who it was I was killing and the reason. If it was someone who'd wronged me, as I'm doing with book 2, I'm killing paedophiles in that one. So they have to suffer quite a lot, and that's so yeah. I'd probably poison someone just to watch them not understand what was going on and why they were feeling so rough. And I don't think I could actually physically stab anyone. That's too up close and personal, I think. Yeah,
they say poison's a woman's
choice
method, isn't it? Yeah.
I'll probably shot them off the top of a building. I'm quite happy doing that.
Yeah, or just elbow them off a cliff or something.
I'm a typical Gemini. I'm a spur of the moment person, so I'd probably do something. Perhaps I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, I think I'd like to sit back and watch someone suffer. My second husband would be perfect.
I love how there was no hesitation at all as well. Like, yeah, I'll poison someone. Like, that's it. It was there.
Yeah, he suffers in book 2. Don't worry. only a little bit. I just wanted to put some of his more unpleasant traits in. So I wrote him in as a minor character. He might not make it to the final cut. Yeah, I might get rid of him because he's it depends. I'm pretty much finished book 2. I'm just at the stage where I'm a pantser. I can't write in sequence. I write a first chapter, not a problem. Opening chapter, not a problem. And I always know how I want it to end. And certain things through. I mean, with book 1, with what goes around, I wrote the opening, and then I wrote chapter 15, I think, which then later, once I fleshed it out, became chapter 40 something. It was the scene where there's a drag queen's being interviewed by Alex, but she's taking her stuff off to get ready for her next show. So it's called D-Drag. So he's quite fascinated watching this man appear from this woman, if you like. It's the process of stripping it all down and becoming a real person. So that was one of my favorites to write. It was the first one I wrote, and then of course by the end of the writing process, I've got 50 odd chapters, and none of them are in the right order. So then I've got to take them all apart. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. I've got to. Sharon Bairden says she does the same. I just got to then try and reorder them, and then think that doesn't work, so I need to reorder them again. That's where I am at the moment, and I've got to hand it in on the 1st of December, so I need to get on with it. I've got a dual timeline in the second one, so it's making it a bit more difficult because it's knowing where to put the historical stuff. At first I put it in the beginning, and then I sent it to May Rinaldi, and she said the problem is with that we just want to know what's going on with Alex, and we're sort of like skipping through that. So like, try putting it somewhere else, and then someone else said the problem with that is I can't remember who these people are, so I'm gonna have to rethink this. So, and then this morning, I was talking to Fiona Quinn, and she said, maybe what you should need to do is take out all the historical stuff and just put it on a separate document for now. Just get the main story in order, and then read it through, and then you'll decide where to put it. I thought that's probably very good advice. So again, the dual timeline, I might just throw that out and just write it in as this happened to me back then, but that kind of spoils the interest, because I've got with book 2, I've got obviously, as I said, I'm killing paedophiles, but the reason the paedophiles are dying is because there's this a group of women who go to a self-help group for survivors of child abuse, and they can, in this room, they can talk about anything they like and know that it stays within the 4 walls. They're perfectly safe. No one's going to go off and tell their deepest secrets to anyone. But then the paedophiles that these women suffered with start turning up dead, but there's a specific signature, and the information was only revealed in that room. So that it's a little bit like a locked room mystery, but not quite. So which is why I'm trying to tell some of it in the past, so it seeds in some of the behavioural patterns, but I'm not quite sure if it's going to work yet. I might have to go cry to Louise and say I need another month. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. But she's been very generous, actually. I did have an extension on this because it's such a dark subject, and because I'm a survivor of child abuse, sometimes when you've sat looking at it for so long, I did have nightmares. It brought all my own stuff back. So I had to sort of like step away from it for a bit until it all calmed down, and then go right the nice parts. But I always knew it was there. It's there in the back of your head, like tapping you on the shoulder, or like, you know, it's tapping you on the back of the head. Think I'm still here. So you do. It is a bit like dealing with it all over again. But yeah, we're survivors. Get through it.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you can kill them on paper, it's the torture methods I've used are just delightful. These are things I would really like to do to paedophiles, but I'm not allowed to. But I can on paper. And that's the main thing. The killer's kind of a bit of me. This is what I would do if I was going to kill you.
I googled yesterday how easy it was to slice someone's penis off, which was fun. Quite easy, apparently. Yeah, just FYI.
Yeah, that is something I'm doing in the books. They're having their junk taken off, but while they're awake.
Yeah. Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was.
Most of the torture takes place while they're awake.
Good. Too right.
Yeah. There's no fun if they're asleep, is there, or if they're unconscious. Where's
exactly.
the fun there?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah. You want them to know about it.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Law Abiding Citizen with Jared Butler, because he's got someone. It's basically someone breaks into his house, beats him up, and then rapes and kills his wife and kills his daughter. I think she's about 7, and they finally catch the guy who did it, and he gets away on it with a technicality, and then it takes 10 years, but he gets his own back. And one of the scenes he has is he's got this guy strapped to a table, and he's showing. He said, "You can't move." He's giving him something to keep him still, but he's wide awake. And he said, "So this implement here, this is for your penis, but we'll get back to that." He shows him a box cutter. This is for your penis, but we'll come. And I think it's great that he's doing this. I think that I've probably sort of emulated that a bit, but I've not gone into a lot of detail because I think it's better left for the imagination.
Yeah. All the men will be crossing their legs. Like,
yeah.
Even
Poor Alex is having a lot to deal with because there's trauma happens in the first book, which he has to deal with the aftermath of in the second. So I won't spoil that. Yeah,
you may have.
I had to. Well, no, I mean I haven't said what the trauma is.
No.
No, the trauma. No, Alex is nothing. Alex is not a paedophile. Trust me, he's not. Alex, I've given Alex and his wife Jane. I've given them a disabled child who's 17, purely because I've got one. I wanted a happily married policeman. I'm sick of reading of ones that are divorced, separated, or whatever, or are having an affair or whatever. I wanted someone with a solid, because majority of policemen are solid and you know. And so I gave him this disabled child because I wanted to show that, you know, it's a different kind of problem, if you like. You know, there are a lot of parents out there with disabled children who are violent, and basically his child is mine. Yeah, and my son knows about it. When he first read it, he went, "He's a really horrible man." I went, "That's how you treat me?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And it was almost as if he doesn't remember doing it. It's like somebody else did it. Although to be fair, Joel in the book, he's a lot more violent than my son was. But it would have got that far if we hadn't been really careful. But he's quite violent to his mum. He breaks her nose at one point. So yeah, but he's always saying, "Oh, I didn't mean it. It was an accident. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." And my son does that. I'm sorry. It was an accident. I didn't mean it. And you know full well he did mean it. But one of the other issues is that it's quite a common thing that disabled people can do things and get away with it because they play the disability card. My son does that. Somebody came up to me in Harrogate and I've got a bag with a picture of my book on it. She went, "Did you write that?" And I went, "I did." She went, "I just want to say thank you for showing that disabled people can be arseholes." And I went, "You like that?" She went, "My auntie has put up with that sort of stuff from my cousin for years. And all he ever says is, 'You can't do anything about it because I'm disabled.'" I went, "My son did exactly the same to me." And I said, "I just wanted to let people know that it does happen. They're not alone. It does happen to other people. And it's perfectly okay to not like a disabled person." Because I did have the police out to mine once because he was smashing the place up. He's in a wheelchair, but he gets around with his hands and knees when he's not. But he was just completely total in his room. So I called the police. And they said, "Well, what do you want us to do?" I said, "Well, can you put the handcuffs on him?" And they went, "Oh, but he's disabled." I went, "That's the problem." And he knows that. He knows you won't arrest him. You won't put handcuffs on him. You won't put him in a police car because, "Oh, but I'm disabled. I didn't mean it." And you go, "Oh, okay." And that's a terrible thing to. I said, he knows exactly what he's done. Because the minute you walk out the door, he'll threaten me and say, "Don't ever call the police on me again or I'll stab you." That's the sort of thing I used to get. I do love him though. He's my son. What can you say? We're better now. He doesn't live at home anymore. He's now in a supported living facility where he absolutely loves it, and we get on so much better. But I just couldn't take the violence anymore. And you shouldn't have to. It is domestic violence at the end of the day. But I wanted to show that disabled people are capable of that because I think it's an important point to make.
Yeah. One of my favourite stories of when I used to work in a petrol station was from my auntie. She used to work nights.
Yeah.
And this guy came in and everyone had to pay first. And he, I guess he was with someone, I don't know, but she shouted him over the tannoy that he needed to come to the window first. And he's like, "I can't see," or something. She's like, "Well, you're not deaf, are you?" Never gave her any problems again.
Yeah. Yeah, my son will play on it. I can't do that. I'm disabled. He used to do it when he was very small. Obviously, before he was big enough for a wheelchair. Obviously, he can't walk. But I think someone came to the door once, and he was lying on the floor at the stairs, and he was crying. Doing that horrible grizzly cry that children do. And I think he was about 2 then. And I opened the door to this woman, and I was like, "Oh," she goes, "Oh, is your little boy all right?" I went, "He's fine." And he went, "I can't." I went, "You can get up the stairs." And he was like, "I can't." So I prodded him with my shoe. She went, "Don't kick him." I went, "I'm not. I'm just prodding him with my shoe." And I explained that he was disabled because we hadn't long moved in. And she went, "But you can't do that." He's just. I went, "Yes, I can." And in the end, he just looked at me, went, "Fine," and he went up the stairs on his hands and knees, just like he always does. He just didn't want to do it that day. And she went, "I don't believe he's just done that." I went, "He was just trying it on. He wanted me to carry him, and I wasn't going to." And so I never treated him. If I knew he could do it, I'd make him do it. But yeah, he would play on it all the time. "I can't do that because my back hurts." That's rubbish. My back hurts from lugging your wheelchair around. Get on with it. And you go, "Fine." And he knows he's been rumbled. So yeah, they do. They can play on it. Yeah, so I'm not disabled bashing at all. The life that Alex has is the life that we had. He's got the thing. What I've done with Alex is he's the start of the book. He's on leave. It's Christmas coming. he's moving house. They're moving into a specially built bungalow for his son. His son was disabled at birth through negligence, so the compensation he got has gone to pay for this purpose-built bungalow, which he's designed. Alex's brother is a builder, and so between them they've designed this bungalow so that it's got everything that he could possibly need. So it's built and it's ready, and they're getting ready to move. And then Alex is called into work because his colleague has been rushed to hospital with gallstones, and there's a dead body found behind this club where there's been a male strip night. So of course his son's not happy that dad's not there. He's supposed to be helping us move, and he takes it out on the wife, and the wife's going, just go to work. It's okay. She knows the job. She knows it's not a lot, and she's really supportive. But of course, then the son starts playing up because dad's not here. The move still goes ahead. Obviously, they do eventually get moved in and stuff. I mean, that's just a small side on it. I've moved house at Christmas. It's very stressful, but I didn't have to go deal with the dead body afterwards. I just want to show that he's got everyday life. He has to move house. He has to deal with this. And then all the other stuff that goes with it. So, and then of course he's not familiar at all with male strippers or drag queens. He's quite out of his depth, really. But it's a scenario because I've done a few shows with the guys, and quite often there'd be a fight to break up out the front from drunken women or whatever, which normally I didn't get involved with. But when they're trying to grab at the guys and go, "Take me home, I love you," and get off, you'd have to force them back. And I thought, what if someone actually died? What would you do? So again, that sort of fed into when I decided I was going to write a book. I thought, because these scraps, I've seen blood spilled and all sorts. of one of them could kill the other, and you wouldn't know. But then again, there was the odd occasion when I'd have to wait around for one of the guys because he pulled, so I'd have to wait for him to finish what he was doing behind the club before I could drop him home. So that was, I sit in the car and think, has he not done yet? Knowing full well he's got a wife at home, which is awful because you do get the occasional one that's like that. I mean, most of the lads are solid and they're married and got kids and they're great, but there was always the odd one. There's always one. And again, I thought, well, if I had a character that was that kind of guy, then it could be him that's done it. It's his. The stripper's girlfriend is found dead behind the club. She was last seen with him disappearing through backstage. And he's Ray Diamond, my antagonist. He's a delight. He really is. He loves himself very much. When we first meet him, he's when you meet him when the police go to interview him, he's lying around on his sofa watching a video of himself drinking. He looks like he looks a mess. He looks like he slept in his clothes, and then he tries to charm the pants off the two policewomen who've come to interview him, and because he loves himself, and he's not listening to what they're trying to tell him, and he's just going, "Oh, if someone's cried rape, it wasn't me," blah, blah. And so he just no one puts one across on me because I'm Ray Diamond. I'm the best thing to do. And he's that kind of guy. But I thought, I wanted to put someone in like that and just see where it went. The kind of guy that will step on everyone else to get to the top, and he doesn't care. So there's a few bits in the book where he steals work from another guy who's got a young baby to feed, but he's phoned the venue ahead and said, "Oh, he can't do it now, but I'll come and do it for you for the same money." So the venue have done that without checking back with the other guy's agent, and that used to happen. Occasionally, you would get that someone would phone ahead and say, "Oh, they're not coming, but I can do it," and then phone the other guy and say, "Oh, the job's been cancelled." I've seen that happen, and that's what I thought. I'll put that in, and that's the kind of guy that Ray is. He's not a nice man at all. You do love to hate him. So, but so he's it's his girlfriend that dies, and it's But a lot of people liked the opening scene at the ladies' night, but that was based on the ladies' night I actually went to. The women, the behaviour of the women when they've had a few, that's how women behave. They don't sit and clap and go, oh, that's very good. They do jump on their chairs and shout rude things and get drunk and try and stop the taxi driver. I have seen it happen. It wasn't me. I have seen it happen.
I will say nothing.
Oh, I had a friend. I walked home with one friend, and she's actually needed a wee, so she stopped and pulled her pants out and weed on someone's front garden, right by the main road. She didn't care. She said, "I need to go," and she hooked her skirt up and dropped her pants and squatted under pee on this man's car. But I hope he doesn't come out. She said, well, you gotta go, you gotta go. Oh dear. All these cars drive by tooting their horns because she's showing her bare backside. Oh.
I've done it on a on a motorway slip road.
Yeah.
But behind bushes. But you know, when you've got to go.
She was just like, I need to go now. And it was, oh dear. Yeah, this was in Oxford actually, so it was going along the main Headington Road, so it was like, oh dear. Which is the A40, so it's that was a good night, that was actually. So like that one, I could blend these three together and come up with a better one, and yeah, sounds good. Anyway, I'm talking far too much again. You probably want to ask me something else.
No, it's fine. You're answering all my questions without having to ask them. It's great. You carry on.
Jackie last week, I think that's what it was. So it's all still quite familiar.
Yeah. I know we spoke beforehand, but do you hide any secret jokes or messages in your books?
Let me think. Have I hidden any secret messages? I don't know actually. It's been a while since I read it. No, I don't think I have. Unless you can think of one I have. Maybe the one I've told you about and I can't remember. No, you'll have to you have to tell me remind me which incident we're talking about.
What was that? I can't remember actually when we started recording and what you told me before or after.
There's an incident. Yeah, this one of my policemen, DC Les Morris. Les Morris is a real person. He's an author. He's one of the Dark Age Press guys now. Actually, he signed after I did. He's a great friend, and I met him at I did a crime writing course at Gretna Green, which is run by Graham Smith. He runs a wedding venue. It's a wedding hotel, but he put together a group called Crime and Publishment, and it's been running for 8 years now, and we've had 14 people sign contracts off the back of it. It's run by other authors, and you get to pitch to a publisher or an agent at the same weekend. You get 2 days of classes, and I met Les there, and quite often when Graham was running a scenario past people, he'd go, right, so if we're going to kill someone, we'll kill Les. And this became a standing joke that poor Les always got killed off. And then Mike Craven killed him in one of his books. I think he put him in a nuclear bunker and left him to starve to death. And Graham put him down a sewer and let him die. And so he said to me, we had this conversation once, and he said, everyone just puts me in their books and kills them. I said, well, I'll put you in mine, and I promise you will never die. I said, you might leave, but you'll never die. And he was very happy with that. And one of the stories he told me once, he said that, I can't remember if it was on Facebook he put it, or he actually told me in person, but his dog had eaten a peach stone. And this poor dog, he said it was just coming out of both ends because she couldn't get rid of it. He said, so it was a very expensive trip to the vet. So one of my chapters starts with Les had been up all night with a vomiting dog. So the dog story is actually a true story. So, and in the second book, Les has recently had an encounter with a bat. So that's going in the second book. And I just said, could I put that in the book? He said, yeah, that's fine. Put that one in. So you're gonna have to do something weird for the third book then. So I have to put that in as well. He's very accommodating, Les. He's a great guy. So yeah, I've done that, and my policeman Craig Muir. Craig Muir was actually a friend of my husband's, and he's not the catwalk model that he is in the book. He always dresses very smart. He's a lovely guy, but I've made him very sort of fashion conscious in the book. So there's a nuclear meltdown if he spills something on his tie. You know, he's one of those kind of guys. But he's a really good guy. But he was fun to write. He really is. He comes into his own in book two. He has a star moment, which I ran past my husband and went, he would love that. And I thought, that's good. I'm glad he likes that. He's like that because obviously he knows it. He's known for 20 years. I don't know him that well, but yeah, he's so yeah, using real people is quite good because you can play on their foibles as well.
Noted.
Yeah, I remember ringing Matt Farrow up and saying, right, I need to know some information. And he said, what do you want to know? I said, well, favourite album and favourite snack. And he said, well, I'll just eat anything. So when you meet Fab, Alex has to go and see Faz to get a report. So he's got AC/DC on his record player, belting out something, and he's stuffing his face with mince pies or something, and chocolate hobnobs. Chocolate hobnobs feature in every book. That's because my eldest daughter is a big fan of Bottom, the program with Aid Edmondson and Rick Mail, and particularly. We're one of those weird families that when we watch things a lot, we'll sometimes quote them to each other. Just I was talking to Rob Parker about this on Saturday. One of my favourite films is Demolition Man. So quite often I'll ring my daughter and say, "Greetings and salutations, I'm Associate Bob," because that's a line that's used in the film. or I'll phone her up and do the hello, like from Mrs. Doubtfire or something, which I did this morning. Then she went, "Mum, I've got a migraine." I was like, "Oh, sorry." Didn't go down very well. But so, or I'll say a line to it, go name the film. So we do that quite a lot as a family. So I completely forgot what I was talking about. So that was chocolate hobnob. So one of our favourite Bottom episodes is where they decide to go wild camping on Wimbledon Common. And he says, "Oh, I didn't bring any food." And Aid Edmonds goes, "I've got a packet of chocolate hobnobs." And so it's something we say to each other all the time. So I just said to her, "I'll put a packet of chocolate hobnobs in every book." So I don't know if that was the sort of hidden things you meant, but yeah, there's little things like that.
I love stuff like that. That's great.
And Alex has a cat called Jack, who is that's Jack. He was I put in the back of the book. He's my favourite son. We lost him 2 years ago. So, but he was already in the book anyway. So, yeah, the Jack in the book is exactly like the attitude of the real Jack. So I had to put him in. So he'll be immortalised in the book. So, but yeah, it's nice to do things like that. Just especially special people that you've perhaps lost or pets and whatever. So, and I won't ever kill any animals. Promise you that now. I will never harm an animal. But a vomiting dog, I suppose, isn't very nice, but it's not deliberate. Yeah, and these things happen. Dog owners tell me all the time, "Oh, the dog's eating something." I think somebody once told me that their dog ate a pair of pants. That was kind of weird. I can't remember whose dog that was. Maybe someone watching a bit.
Yeah. My dog used to puke all the time. Yeah. And if he puked, it usually came out the other end as well. And it was just...
It's almost like you squeeze them and just go...
Yeah, just everywhere, all over the house. It's delightful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, great, here we go again.
Yeah. What's been your highlight so far since you started writing?
Since the book came out, you mean, or since I actually started?
Since you started, yeah, the thing that stood out most.
I think it was the massive support I've had from other authors. I mean, go to Harrogate, I've probably been to 10 out of the last 12, but won't count the COVID year. And as soon as you mention that you're writing a book, normally people go, "Oh, great, yeah, that's the sort of thing you expect." Oh, but another, but they've been absolutely brilliant. Everybody, so many words of encouragement. Stuart Neville read my synopsis a few years back, told me where he thought it might be improved. So I took all that on board. You know, it's just little that everyone's always eager to help. And before the book was published, I approached the Crime Fiction Coach on Facebook, which is a group of women writers. It's Alex Sokoloff, Susie Holiday, Steph Broadrigg, Louise Voss, and Alexandra Benedict. And they like run a mentoring service, proofreading, editing, and all that. And I messaged Susie and I said, could someone proofread and just line edit just check my book's okay, because I'm submitting it, but I'm not really getting anywhere. And I think perhaps it just needs a professional to give it the once over. So she put me in touch with Louise Voss, she was amazing. She came back. There was hardly anything that she criticised me on. She said you pretty much got it, just a few tweaks here and there. And I was thrilled that they used her quote on the front cover, because I think that's quite nice. But when I sent it off, I said, you know, Louise as editor, and they were really impressed. So it was worth spending a bit of extra money to get it perfect. But you know, people like that, again, you know, because I'd spoken to Susie and she said, well, we're going to be doing this thing. I thought I might come to you when my book's ready. Just give me a shout. You know, it's been lovely. It really has. You know, and people have said, oh, well, let me know when your book's out. I'll go and get a copy. And I thought, that again, these are authors that I hold in high esteem, and I'm thinking they want to buy my book. Why? But it's you know, it's been great. And one of the highlights was doing Crime in the Spotlight at Bloody Scotland this year. Not just because I had an author badge, but because that's number one on the bucket list, was to have an author pass, and I got an author pass. So that was just incredible, absolutely incredible. But again, you know, when you speak to people, the first thing they do is say, "Oh, congratulations on the book. Really hope it did well." Lynn Anderson called out to me at Harrogan's, threw her arms around me. She went, "I'm really proud of you." And I thought, wow, you know, that means so much. You know, and she made me cry, actually, because I was on before her panel, hers and Ellie Griffith's panel, and we stood in the wings waiting to go on. She gave me a hug. She went, "I'm so proud of you." And I just filled up. I thought, I can't cry. I've got to go out there and read something. But it's just, you know, that sort of thing, the encouragement and the support it's astounding. You know, and you stand there still feeling a bit like, I shouldn't really be here. This is, you know, but you know, I mean, so many people come up to me in Harrogate and said, "I've just bought your book and read it. It's really great." I mean, these are strangers. I'm like, it's fabulous. This is how it feels. It's probably, I mean, I know hopefully it'll get better, but even so, it's just to be congratulated by my heroes. I think, or just to be acknowledged by my heroes was worth more than any money. Just knowing that, you know, the respect, you can feel the respect, and I suppose that's it. They're not just thinking, "Oh God, the fly by night who's going to disappear." You know, I'm here to stay. You haven't seen the back of Alex yet. You know, he's going to be. I'm hoping he's going to keep going as long as Tom Thorne, but we'll see. That's the goal. Is to be able to do a Mark Bateman and say, "This is my 21st book." And hopefully Mark will you know, be on the panel with me. That'd be nice.
You wouldn't get words in edgeways.
Mark's incredible. He really is. He's so nice. He was the first person to ask for my autograph, which made my day. Yeah, he was probably thinking just humor the silly woman, but you know, it was still nice.
Another thing that I noticed when you'd done your thing at Bloody Scotland was how supportive the audience were. And
Yes.
you got as big a round of applause as the people on the panel did, which I thought was lovely as well.
You know, I didn't actually notice that because I was just too busy. I got off the stage and I thought, "Oh, my knees are going to go now," because it's kind of afterwards that you notice it. I mean, I was lucky. A lot of my fellow crime and publishment friends are in the audience. You've probably seen them all wearing the T-shirt with my book on the front.
I did.
We're collectively known as the Twisted Sisters, which was a name I came up with because I'm a heavy metal fan. But we get together at May Rinaldi's house and do a little writing retreat, because you know, a lot of us have got families or we've got other things going on that we find it hard to sit and concentrate, because when you're at home, it's quite difficult to just not think of what's going around. You know, the doorbell could go, the phone will ring, and she said, "Just come to mine." A few of us will come together, we'll come to mine, you can write undisturbed all day, you know, and it works really well. We get through loads. We probably knock out about 20,000 words between us on a weekend, which is not bad for 5 or 6 of us. And sometimes we'll do more. Yeah, but they were really supportive. When I printed the t-shirts up, I said, "Oh, I hope you don't mind. I've got, you know, who wants a t-shirt?" And they all said, "We'll have one." You know, so they were brilliant, really supportive. So it was really nice. And then people would say, I mean, Abby Mukherjee said, "I want one of those t-shirts." So that was a huge, huge actor. I've yet to see him wearing it, so I'd like to see a picture of him wearing it. I've seen Khan's got them as well. I'd like to, I want a picture of the two in a minute. That'd be, that'd be something. But they were really supportive people. You know, the Twisted Sisters. We look after each other. We all support each other. I think I'm the first one to be published. So, but I'm there to help promote and support them as much as they have me, and anyone else really. I mean, Graham Smith's been fantastic. You know, if it hadn't been for his course, which happened to run in the March after my first Harrogate, I wouldn't have gone. My daughter bought me the place for Christmas. And she said, "I've seen this. I think you should go." And I went, "I can't go to that. I don't know anyone." She went, "Exactly, but you need to go." And I was like, "No, I can't do that. I'm not that good." So she bought me the ticket. So I remember leaving the house, waving to my husband and driving off, thinking, "What the hell am I doing?" I got halfway up the motorway, I'm thinking, the traffic's bad. That's a sign I should turn around and go home and stop being sick. But when I got there, I just felt like I was with friends. They were so great. Graham, even now, I can message him and say, "Have you got a wedding on today? I need somewhere quiet to write." And he'll just go, "I'll come over to the mill and I'll sit at the top end of the bar and, on my laptop, and I usually have my lunch while I'm there, but I'll sit and write in peace." And he's been really, really supportive. Mike Craven wrote my synopsis because he said mine was shite. we have a small group called Moffat Crime Writers, and Mike comes along to that. And I'd taken it with me, and we were sitting around the table and we were just chatting. And he went, "What's that?" And I went, "That's my synopsis." And he went, "Let's have a look." And he snatched it off me and he read it. He went, "This is shite." So I threw the pen at him. I said, "Well, you write it." And he went, "I will." And he did. He took it home and he emailed it back to me the next day. I'm like, "That's so great." So he's, again, he's been amazing. He did the first, one of the first read-throughs and said, "This works, that doesn't." And all of the Twisted Sisters have done the same. They've all read it before it was published, before I got signed. So they were really good on saying, "Well, this, we like this, we like that, we don't like that." So so to cut a very long story short, it's the support from everyone else that's been the biggest thing, the biggest highlight. Oh, and Jeffrey Deaver follows me on Twitter. That's the ultimate. That's like, you've made it when Jeffrey Deaver follows you.
Yeah, future goals for me.
He's my hero. He's my ultimate, my mentor, I suppose, my idol, my author god. Can't big him up enough, really. But he's who I aspire to be, I suppose. His books are incredible. I never guess who's done it ever, unless he's told you at the beginning. But it's just when you just think you've got to the gist of the story, he takes you somewhere else, and he's just wow. That's all I can say. But yeah, when he started following me back, I thought, "That's it. I've made it. I've made it now."
So when you're not writing, what do you like to do with your time?
I play computer games a lot. Usually things like cards. I like hidden object games as well. The ones you find on Big Fish. I'm a Big Fish fan. Download games on there all the time. I play the hidden object game. I like the card games as well. I was playing solitaire this afternoon, actually. So after I'd done my quota for the day, I sat and played solitaire for an hour. That's how I wind down. Or I watch TV occasionally. I introduced my husband to the original Perry Mason after we watched the really poor remake, which was, I was sitting there going, "That's not what Perry's like. Perry's not like, Perry would not do that." And he said, "Well," because obviously it's told from a young Perry Mason. I don't know, this is just awful. And he said, "Well, he'd never seen my grandma would be turning her grave because she loved Raymond Burr, you know. So I said, right, well, so I'm down. Well, they were showing it, I think, on one of the crime channels. So I said, right, we'll watch it, and he was hooked from the start. So we've got one episode left to watch, and we put it off and put it off and put it off because we don't want it. But Earl Stanley Gardner, who wrote the Very Basic Books, is actually in the last episode. He's the judge. But I thought, yeah, we'll save that one. But we just, I like things like that. I like a bit of escapism. I've just recently rewatched Rizzoli and Isles because I love Tess Gerritsen's books. Very, very, she's amazing as well. I love Karen Slaughter. I'd love to see that come to the screen. Love to see Will and Sarah on the screen. And I don't know if you watched the adaptation of The Bone Collector, The Search for the Bone Collector. It was as close to the books as you can get. It was really good. And the guy who played the Bone Collector was thoroughly creepy. He was one of these really quiet, unassuming people, which are the more terrifying type. He wasn't sort of rampaging around with a big axe or anything. He was the kind of guy that you could live next door to. I recommend that if you watch that. The Hunt for the Bone Collector is a Search for the Bone Collector. Very, very well done.
Yeah. I've weirdly I've never seen Rizzoli and Isles, I don't think. I've watched Bones because I love Kathy Reichs. And what's his name that's in it as well was just
David Glorianis, is it?
Yeah, just an added bonus, really.
Yeah. I've only watched a few episodes of Bones, but Rizzoli and Isles, obviously Tess Gerritsen says, Rizzoli is nothing like she is in the book because she's a short, dumpy, overweight woman in the book, whereas Angie Harmon is 6'2" and beautiful and slim, and it's TV, isn't it? It has to appeal. But she said, but it was a good act. I mean, I think it was 7 series, but it was good. It was kind of comfy TV, and I love Bake Off. I'm absolutely besotted with Bake Off. And recently, it's been Strictly, which I was quite shocked to find that one of the Bake Off winners was actually on Strictly, and I had to look him up because I don't remember him. And then looked and thought that's why, because he looks completely different to how he did at Bake Off.
And when I see them two dance, I just want to cry, and I don't know why. I don't really know why, but it just makes me really emotional.
It's an art form the way they dance, isn't it? It's absolutely beautiful. Always moved me to tears. And to be honest, I don't understand why people can be homophobic. Why? What is the point? We're all human. It's the same with race. Don't even get me started on that. Because if you needed a life-saving organ, you're not going to say, well, what colour skin did they have? You're going to take that organ and you when you have a blood transfusion, you don't ask what colour the person was it came from. So why should it matter? It really. I could use an expression there, but I won't. It's an expression that Mark Benningham used. I'm not going to use it. But it's a fabulous one. But it just, I don't understand what business is it of anyone's what sexuality someone is. As long as it doesn't involve children or animals, it really doesn't matter. Nobody would think to go up to a straight married couple and go, don't hold hands in public, or don't kiss each other in public, or what you do together is wrong, because it's not always about that. If you love someone, you love someone. I'm a great believer that you love someone's soul, you love their spirit. Doesn't matter what package they come in, you love them. You don't love the wrapping. If you're at the present at Christmas, you don't care what it's wrapped in, you just like what's inside, and that's how it should be. And that's me waving my pride flag for now. But I don't notice colour. I mean, someone said to me, you haven't got any black characters in your book. I went, says who? Well, you never mentioned them. I said, I haven't mentioned them on purpose because it's up to you how you see them. And Jeffrey Lever said when he wrote Lincoln Rhyme, he was surprised when they cast Denzel Washington. He said, because in my head he was always a white guy. He said, but I've never specified he's a white guy, so it's great that they've decided to go with Denzel Washington. So, and I thought the same when I wrote mine. I thought, I'm not going to put the colour. I'll put hair colour and eye colour and Faz is obviously a white guy because he's ginger, and I've never seen a ginger African unless it's not natural, or a ginger Indian or Pakistani, because he's naturally a redhead, so therefore he's very pale. But I don't put colour because I don't think it's up to me to decide what colour they are. And plus, it makes it easier if it ever becomes a TV series, which would be fabulous. Then they can cast who they like.
Yeah.
Although I would like first dibs on who would play Alex. And there you are. That's just me personally. I'm a massive Sean Bean fan, and although Sean is perhaps getting on a bit now, I would have liked Sean to have played him purely because then he won't die.
Yeah.
I don't like him dying and everything. It's depressing.
Bless him.
Started watching Game of Thrones, thinking he's a main character. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doesn't even make the season, does he? The first one is gone.
No. Which was yeah. But I would have liked him. Failing that, I'd like Ralph Ineson to play Ralph. Ralph Ineson to play Alex. He's one of those guys that you don't know the name, but you know him because he does a lot of voiceovers. He's got that lovely flat northern, I don't know if it's a Manchester accent, but it's kind of the flat vowels, and I think that's how Alex would speak. And I just love that. And if it ever became a film, I would. We're not having a good time.
Oh, it's taken us so long to to chat as well.
No, don't worry.
It's fine.
Cut out the bad bits.
Oh no, I don't edit. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It means I'd have to watch it again, and
True. So for anyone
I've
watching, my computer decided to die. I had to reboot it. So it does it on occasion. I think it just tells me you've been on there enough. Get off.
yeah. I'll ask you just a couple more questions anyway, and then we shall, just in case it decides to break again. So if you were able to travel to any period of time, either forwards or backwards, where would you go?
I would probably go back to where, I'm not sure. I suppose I should say I could go back to before my mum met the person who abused me. But then I look at my life now and think, would I be here if I took a different path? Yeah. Or I could go back to before my son was born and so he wouldn't, because his disability was caused by negligence. He was fine before he was born. So, if I'd had a different life, all things have been different. But again, I don't know if we'd be where we are now if that hadn't happened. So I suppose it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It'd be nice to go back to last week and find out the winning lottery numbers. Yeah, I'd do that. I'd make a note of the winning lottery numbers and then go back a week. That would be cool.
Yeah, totally. It makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
So you said you're trying to finish book 2 and you have book 3 already an idea. So do you know what you're going to do after that?
With book 3?
Yeah, or beyond.
Well, book 3 will be it's I don't even know where this came from. We had to, when we did Crime and Publishment one year, Zoe Sharp was one of the teachers, and we were set home every year. Graham sets us some homework beforehand, and for Zoe's homework, we had to write an opening chapter that would keep you hooked. And so, I mean, I'm going to use the chapter anyway, but basically, it was it's known as the corpse's head. So someone walks into a hotel bedroom and they're admiring the beautiful drapes and the nice soft carpets and the expense and then they look out the window and see the kids walking across the thing in a crocodile vacuum. And then there's the blonde on the bed with her hair all fanned out and her eyes closed and a smile on her lips. But the only thing that's odd is the rest of the body nowhere to be seen. And that's the opening chapter. And everyone went in the room went, oh, that's really good. And I thought, I'm going to use that. And then obviously, because of the stories I wanted to tell, that didn't really fit anything. But I thought that's the first part. But I suppose the hook with that book is each victim is going to have something to do with one member of the team. It's going to be connected in some way to one member of the team. And so basically this killer is playing cat and mouse with the team. A bit like Jigsaw, I suppose, but not Jigsaw. I'm not going to rewrite Jigsaw. That was, but it's going to be, there's going to be clues there, and they're going to think, well, it's not necessarily be someone very close to the team. It might be someone's cousin. There'll be some connection there and it's I haven't got a title for that one yet. And then book 4 is going to take place during Wolverhampton Pride, because like I said before, I'm very big on homophobia, and I wanted to address that. So there's someone out there, who's got it in for the gay community. So yeah, Alex won't stand for that. Yeah, he's got one of his team is gay, so he there's no way he's going to stand for it. He wouldn't stand for it anyway, but particularly because one of his team are gay, so that's why. Yeah, so she's going to feel that quite personal to her, but so that's where we are with book 4. Book 5, I've kind of got an idea. I wake up with these really ridiculous ideas, and where did that come from? And then so I write it down. So I tend to keep them, so they will all eventually become Alex Peachy books. So it's going to be Alex meets someone and then thinks, well, you can't be who you say you are because I remember carrying your coffin when you were found dead. So so it'll be this little girl is dead. He knows she is because he carried her coffin at her funeral. He found her body and he had carried her. So why is this person saying that that's who they are? But then I think Mike Craven's probably done that. So again, Mike Craven did something very similar with a mistaken identity thing. So I think Tim Weaver did as well. That one might get knocked on the head. I don't know, but that was one of the other ideas I've got written down. But yeah, Alex will be dealing with other stuff as well. I mean, the book 2 has got it's got a stag do, a wedding, and a fire in it, which are nothing to, and plus lots of murders, but they're all in book 2. So, and they're all sidelines to the plot. They're nothing to do with the plot, but they're just things I like to throw him out of a tree occasionally. In my head, he's a real person, and I never used to believe authors when they said, "Oh, they're real people," and I talk to them and think, "What would they do?" But it's crazy when they do. I woke up with his name in my head. I hadn't got a name for him. I just called him George up to that point. And I woke up with the name Alex Peachy, and I was like, "Where did that come from?" And one of my close friends from school is called David Peachy, and so I messaged him and said, "Do you mind if I use your surname?" He was like, "No, that's fine." I went, "I'll put you in the book." So the David Peachy you read about in the book is my mate. So, but I put him in as Alex's brother, and his mannerisms and everything are exactly how the real David Peachy are. He's a bit of a goofball. He's a master builder by trade, ex-army, and he can be a complete nit when he wants to be. But he's Alex's brother, so I thought that's It's funny enough. I went to a school reunion a couple of years ago, and someone else said, "Oh, can I please be in your book? Please put me in your book. That'd be so great." So he got into book 1. So Glyn Mason, he turned up at the end of book 1. So he's going to come back in book 3, because I thought that'd be an interesting one. Kissy McLean, the drag queen, she's in book 2. She may make an appearance in book 3. It depends how the public perceive her. If they want her back, I'll bring her back. So I suppose that's where I am at the moment, because the characters are quite new, so people are still discovering them. So I've no idea who played Kitty. I'd have an actual drag queen play Kitty, I think, because that would be fair. I don't know a lot of drag queens who would love to do it. So.
Yeah, they're not known for being shy, are they, drag queens?
The thing is, they can actually wear the gear and pull it off. Whereas, yeah, an actor could do it, but it's better if it's an actual drag queen that does it, because they can walk in the heels and they can talk the talk.
They look better than I do dressed up generally, and I can't walk in heels either.
It can take you up to 3 hours to put all that makeup on. It's a long process. I've watched it happen many times. And one of my favourite parts when I first saw my first drag queen was she took her makeup and her dress and everything off she de-dragged on stage, and I burst into tears because it was just such a beautiful thing to watch. Because there's this wonderful, glamorous woman, and they played "I Am What I Am," and she sort of sang along to it, and she sort of took her makeup and everything off, and then this guy put his jeans and t-shirt on, and he went, "This is me," and I thought, wow, that was so powerful, and he was so humble. I mean, once you got to know him, he wasn't, but he's a big, loud, larger than life character. But it was just, it was. I can't describe it. I was telling Jackie about it. Again, with the strippers, I said to them, I don't know how you can go out there and do that. And one of the guys went, I'll tell you the secret. He said, we wear mirrored sunglasses so that you can't see us. And I thought, what do you mean? He said, you can't see my eyes, so therefore you can't see me. I thought, that's really deep. He said, well, I've got my sunglasses on. He said, I can go out there and do all the stuff I do. He said, I couldn't do it without them. He said, that's my armor. I thought, again, with drag queens, it's the safety blanket, the shield, the armor, if you like. It's fascinating. But yeah, I used to love watching Tilly, his name is. I love watching Tilly de-drag because it was just an art form. I've seen others do it, and it never quite hit home like he did. I mean, he's still going. He's still very prominent in Birmingham and the Midlands, and I would highly recommend him to anyone who gets to see him. He's incredible. Yeah, the de-drag really blew me away because I thought that's something that you would think they'd do privately, but it was nice. It's almost like sharing a private moment. It was good.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any more questions for you unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you that you want to tell us.
I don't think so. I can't think of any at all, to be honest. I come with my cat. She likes to get in on the shot. Come on then. She sits on the desk when I'm writing. She usually sits between me and the keyboard. She's a nightmare, aren't you? You're going to say hello to everyone. You're going to say hello. You say hello.
Aww.
You get down there. She'll come back in a minute all the time. It's like, no, up on the desk, get down, up on the desk. The other one's asleep on the. I've got a cat tower next to the computer. The other one's just flat out on there. Mary was just at there. That's Mary, and the other one's Pippin. So Mary likes to sit and she's becoming quite a star of Twitter, aren't you?
Well, before we sign off, would you like to remind everyone where they can get your books from and where they can find out more about you?
All right, so I've got I'm on Twitter at Bloxwich. My book's called What Goes Around, and it's available on Amazon at the moment as an ebook. I believe it's on offer actually at £1.99. Hardbacks are coming hopefully at the end of November, beginning of December, and should be available from Waterstones, Amazon, and other bookshops.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been fabulous. I'm sorry about the glitch in the middle.
That's fine.
Spirits are at it.
Yeah.
Every time.